Futuristic. Why you know? Because none of you will have a stent tonight. None of you will take SGLT2 inhibitor tonight. But you will all go to banquet tonight. So this is the subject you must listen. Now, as Salim Yusuf told us that there are 90% risk of heart attack can be explained by 9 causes. And you see, of the 9, 4 are lifestyle. 4 are lifestyle. And some are more important than diabetes and hypertension. Obesity is much more important than diabetes and hypertension to account for a heart attack. Now, all of you know the lifestyle. So that is nothing to say. I'll just go very quickly about it. The 2021 ESC guideline, you take more vegetable, less saturated fat, unsaturated fatty acid, less salt, more fiber, more fruit, more vegetable, red meat minimum, fish 1 or 2 times a day if you're non-veg, 30 grams of nuts, alcohol to limit, sugary drinks no. That is diet. Everybody knows. Body weight, that overweight people should reduce it, underweight should increase it, so have a optimal BMI, and diet and exercise are the most important thing, and you leave the bariatric surgery to the surgeons. For physical activity, about 2-3 hours of exercise a week. The minimum you can do, don't get disheartened. 2019 ACC guidelines said almost the same thing. It's almost the same thing. There's no point repeating it, that more vegetable, fruit, legume, saturated fat replaced by MUFA or PUFA, diet reduced cholesterol and sodium, and to minimize the intake of processed meat and be healthy diet. Obesity again, but there is some important thing here which is not in ESC. Calculating BMI is recommended annually or more frequently, and it is reasonable to measure the waist circumference to identify those are higher cardiometabolic risk. So in India, BMI is not so important, it's the waist-hip ratio which is perhaps more important. But why Dr. Rishi Shetty asked me to do this talk? Not to repeat those guideline things. Everybody can read it on Google. So what is the myth versus reality? Now, obesity. There was a trial published and pushed under the carpet 10 years ago, where it shows that if you start at 100 kg body weight, and if you reduce to 97 kg, you live longer. If you reduce to 92 kg, you die sooner. But nobody looked ahead after the look ahead trial. And if you see, the primary endpoint was absolutely same. Then you see the Yagnik and Yudnik YY controversy. The left one is fat, isn't it? But their BMI was 22.3 exactly, both of them. But the left one had body fat 9%, and the right one had body fat 21%. I am not swapping the pictures. The left one used to do marathon every year. The right one used to run for the lift to go to first floor. It is written by themselves, the authors. I am not conjuring something. So BMI is tricky. And there is an obesity paradox. If you are too lean, you die. That's why the models are barred if their BMI is below 20. You cannot participate in the show because you are not supposed to be so lean. So lean people die, fat people die, the medium handsome people live. And that's good for the nature, good for the world. Now the exercise. You see the exercise. If you see the sedentary non-jogger, like you are sitting over here, if you die after 10 years, who are light joggers, they will live by 50% more. If you are moderate jogger, you will live by 30% more. But if you are huffer and puffer and strenuous jogger, you will die on the same day as your counterpart who sat in the sofa all their lives. So that is the thing, isn't it? Even it is adjusted for age, sex, smoking, alcohol, education, it's the same. Even the strenuous joggers then die more frequently than a totally sedentary person. So that is about obesity, that is about exercise. What about diet? Now Salim Yusuf again published very good data of 2018, 218,000 people. It was presented 3 years ago at Munich. ESC. Low and high pure diet. Why is it changing itself? It says auto, it has got his auto brain. Now, so healthy diet score, you see, the lower score, and these are the high score. And there are fruit, vegetable, nut, legume, dairy. And you know what happens? Those diets with fruit, vegetable, nuts, legumes, fish, dairy, and meat, they have lower mortality and CVD. Now this is interesting because first 4, 5 are okay. But what about dairy and meat? Dairy and meat give you longevity. And that dairy is full fat dairy, not skimmed milk, not semi-skimmed milk, but full milk, ghee and butter, and red meat. What is red meat? Anybody knows? Those goats and lambs are not red meat. Red meat starts from pork onward. Goat and lamb, nobody knows what they are. Red or white or blue, nobody knows. But they are not at least red meat. So, fine. But if you see, even with this good score, your total mortality improves with a higher score of your diet. But the cardiovascular mortality does not change. That is very surprising. We are talking about cardiovascular mortality and diet. It does not change whatever be your score of dieting. You might get more cancer, but you won't get more heart attack with a bad diet. And you know, only 2 weeks ago, there is a publication, raw and cooked vegetable consumption and risk of cardiovascular disease, 400,000 adult in UK Biobank. It's coming from UK, whom we tend to believe so far. So higher intake of raw vegetables were associated with lower CVD, but not cooked. And that also, the residual confounding is likely to account for much, if not all, the association. So vegetable does not protect you, raw or cooked. 400,000 UK adult biobank, not sponsored by any company. Now it was published in 2018 ESC, where Salim Yusuf was publishing. The next door was published by Mohsen Majidi from Sweden, not from Dubai, but from Sweden. The meta-analysis included 447,000 people for 15 years, all-cause mortality and cause-specific mortality. Cardiovascular mortality, stroke mortality, cancer mortality. Low carbohydrate diet showed increased risk of total mortality and cause-specific mortality in adults. Why? Maybe the missing carbohydrate were replaced by more dietary fat. We don't know. I don't take roti, or I don't take rice. I'm so health conscious. But I take a piece of paneer or some ghee or something. I don't know. Nobody knows. It was highly provocative. There was fighting in the hall, but there was no answer. And then 2 years after came low carbohydrate and low fat diet with mortality among US adults. Unhealthy low carbohydrate diet and low fat diet scores were associated with higher total mortality, whereas healthy low carbohydrate and low fat diet scores were associated with lower total mortality. So it depends on what type of carbohydrate you are taking. Not just I'm taking rice, whether you're taking brown rice, whether you're taking milled rice, whether you're taking atta or whether you're taking maida, whether you're taking brown bread or milk bread, it all depends. Perhaps it all depends on that. We don't know. Now the salt. Everybody knows we have to take less than 5 grams of salt, not sodium. Sodium is 2 gram, 2.5 gram. 2 gram and 3 gram is chloride in 5 gram of salt. So WHO said 5 gram of salt, 2018, everybody knows that. But again, 2018, in the same ESC, there was a paper, there was a huge publication. Salt intake was positively associated with stroke only when it was exceeding 12 gram, not 5 gram. And inversely associated with heart attack and mortality. More salt, less heart attack. More salt, more longevity. Less salt, you die sooner. You die saltless. These associations were largely independent of blood pressure. When patient asks, if I take more salt, my blood pressure will go up, so what? Your blood pressure goes up, but you live longer. Do you mind? So there was a provocative finding that less than 5 gram is perhaps not gospel truth, particularly for India. It's a hot country. Now egg. We are born and brought up feeling guilty that we are taking egg. Egg causes 13 gram of cholesterol, which increases blood cholesterol, which causes heart attack. Americans told us. But in 2015, 2020, guideline was revised, and US said, sorry, nation, we misled you. Please take egg. Egg has got nothing to do with body cholesterol, and egg has got nothing to do with your longevity. Egg is the most wholesome food we have ever discovered in the world. So please, guys, take egg. US government is apologizing to you for misleading you for last 20 years. There was no evidence. Within 2 months, there came a paper in JAMA that a high intake of egg and dietary cholesterol significantly increased the risk of cardiovascular disease and premature death. So US government didn't change their stance so quickly. Perhaps they're waiting for the next president to change and then change it. Now about the mustard oil. I'm coming from Bengal with a packet of mustard oil. 2019, there was a paper. Mustard oil is rich in MUFA. Very good. While mustard oil contains high level of MUFA, avocados and olive oil contain more. So why don't you take the olive oil? It tastes bad. Mustard oil contains a compound that could be useful for reducing inflammation, allyl isothiocyanate. But Eastern Indian people have more pacemaker implanted. And there was papers about 20, 30 years ago that mustard oil causes heart block. So we were putting more pacemaker, not because we were unscrupulous, but because we took mustard oil. So the 2016, FDA issued a warning that mustard oil is not safe to use in cooking because of its high erucic acid content, which may promote cardiac fibrosis and conduction defect. It is now endorsed, stamped. This means that FDA do not permit its use as a cooking oil in US. If you go to US next time, you'll go to a food store, you won't get a single bottle of mustard oil in the food section. You'll get it in other section, in massage, spa, etc. Now alcohol for tonight. Pure association between alcohol and outcome. Never drinker if dies, current drinker dies, former drinker lives longer. Heavy drinking, bad, small drinking, good. But these are mortality. See the cardiovascular disease, nothing changes. No good, no bad with alcohol. But there's bad news. I'm finishing 1-2 minutes. In India, we did not observe any protective role of alcohol for coronary heart disease. And in Indian men, a drop of alcohol causes heart disease, just like a puff of smoking. So no benefit. But to endorse it, only 2 months ago it came in Geneva from World Heart Federation, that widespread notion that drinking moderate amount of alcohol can decrease the risk of heart disease. It is a myth. And calling for urgent and decisive action to tackle the unprecedented rise in alcohol-related death and disability worldwide. So it is now endorsed worldwide, so be careful. Maybe today you can take that, from tomorrow you can change. And so we end 2021 Dietary Guidance AHA gave, emphasize on fruit and vegetable, whole grain, healthy source of protein, liquid plant oil, minimize the beverage, ultra-processed food, too much of salt, too much of alcohol. So what you learn after these 12 minutes, our old Indian wisdom, Ati darpe hata lanka, oti mane chakauraba, oti dane balirbadha, sarvamattanta garhitam. It's a fantastic sloko. Darpo, arrogance, a bad quality. Of course it will destroy you. Man, ego, is a neutral quality. You need it to live. If it's in excess, you are destroyed. But surprise, the dan, generosity, a fantastically positive quality, even that in excess will destroy you. So any human quality, good, neutral or bad, is detrimental if not in moderation, be it blood pressure, blood sugar, blood lipid, body weight, exercise, carbohydrate, salt. Take the middle road. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ray, for your enlightening talk for today.